How's it going? Happy Friday. Took one trade today, but yeah, it's been a while since I made a video. I've been very cautious this whole week. The last video I made, I think, is Monday. I did take a trade on the 30th, which is Tuesday, but it was a break-even trade, and then I just called it a day. And then I didn't trade Wednesday or Thursday. I just didn't know really what was going on. There's so much news, FOMC. I just didn't like it. So, I do want to note, we have now drawn into this daily bearish fair value gap. I was thinking this was the draw on liquidity until we went lower here, because we did have SMT at these highs, but eventually that did get tapped into today from the non-farm news. So right when we tapped into that, took out the external draw, I instantly have a bearish bias, and I took one trade. It actually ended up being not so great of a move to the downside, and I realized while I was in the trade, this isn't as bearish as I would like it to be. But anyway, we had these lows here, a lot of sell side liquidity on the move up, and then we had this big fair value gap. I was expecting a bit more of a retracement, but nonetheless we come down. This is sort of your breaker here, like that. We end up tapping into that, pushing lower, respecting this down or this up close candle here, and then I entered in. We had this big 30-second here, and as we started to wick down, I market ordered in. Realistically, probably just should have put a limit order here, or at consequent encroachment or something. But anyway, yeah, put my stop up here, and then once we broke this low there, I moved my stop loss to break even, plus a couple points for commissions, and so I almost got stopped out by a few ticks. Then it sold off, tapped this low, bounced. I almost got stopped out again before it eventually dumped down to take that out, and that ended up being the low of the day there. So I realized in this sort of chop on the way down, you'd expect the market to just sort of rush towards the liquidity. Sort of something like this where you just run straight into it. But I realized, my stop loss was at break even anyway, so it is what it is. I just let it go. But I realized this is a pretty crappy move down. Maybe we're not so bearish as I thought we were. So tapped that low, and then ended up having some good bullish setups actually that I was tape reading, but I was not going to take these trades. But we had that displacement to the upside, and then you could have easily taken this fair value gap to the most recent high, or this high into here. This is a pretty massive move to try to go for, so I likely would have been targeting probably this. But either way, then we came down, actually formed SMT at these lows, and then another bounce. You had this BPR here, the inverse, as well as the 1 minute, bounce off that, held that order block, and then expanded up to that high as well. So there were some good long setups. And on ES, they looked good as well. That first one we almost took out the low there, and I think that's why we had one more move back down, form that SMT, the BPR there as well, another 1 minute, and to go push up into these highs, as well as this premium SIBI here from 10 a.m. So yeah, I think maybe the reason why we rallied here was just because ES was the weaker one, and ES ES ended up coming down, past consequent encroachment, sort of holding the current new week opening gap, taking out these lows. So ES had a deeper retracement. NQ remained very, very bullish. I mean, we barely even tapped into this 5 minute. I was sort of expecting us to go deeper into here, especially like news events usually will run up and then completely reverse the entire move. So I was expecting us to be a lot more bearish, but nonetheless, took my trade, put my stop loss at break even to protect myself once we had pushed through some lows, these lows, and just let it play, and that was that. And when I got my win, I just stepped away. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Good way to end the week. Very decent week. I guess trading less ends up with more money in my pocket. So maybe I'll have to do this patience thing more often. I say that pretty much every video, and then I take dumbass trades. But yeah, not really much to say. I am very interested to see what happens next week. Do we reject from here now and start to go lower? Or do we just go run through all that liquidity to the upside? Who knows? Looking at ES, we also had that daily imbalance there. Still somewhat holding on to it, but who knows, maybe we have another run higher. I don't know, we'll have to see, but very intrigued. Realistically, I have a very bearish bias, unless we just run through this to the upside. So yep, with that, have a good weekend. Next time I take a trade, I will make a video. Peace out.